What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys every single spell in DragonWilds. There is a ton of spells. I'm going to show you all of them so that way you can check out the new stuff in this new game. And then also I'm going to show you guys like the best ways to use them. Alright, let's jump on into it. In DragonWilds, as you progress through your skills, which you can open up by hitting K and seeing all your skills list, you're going to be unlocking a ton of different abilities and spells. And then you can go over to your spellbook to be able to go through and see everything you've got unlocked. And you've got a scroll wheel over here which you can access by hitting Q while you're playing the game. And that way you can bring up whatever spell you want to use. And if you want to move one of these spells around that way that you can activate it or have it in your bar or just kind of like organize this however you want to, all you got to do is go over to the spell and then just drag it over to the bar. So if I want to drag this air weapon enchant, then I just go ahead and put it on the bars. So that is how you organize them. And if you're wondering like how to unlock some of the things, you can just look at the Artisan skill, for example. See this one that says like magical mending. If I go back to skills, then I go back to my Artisan, then you can scroll down and you can actually see what level you will unlock the different spells. First off, I'm going to show you guys how to use the woodcutting spells. These are super useful, and you'll probably unlock at least the astral projection. Wow, goodness, it's kind of hard to say. Pretty early on in the game because it only requires level 11 in your woodcutting. And then you can cast this by having 5 astrals and 10 air runes. Now you're going to notice as we go through these different spells and everything, you need to have quite a lot of spells, which is very easy to get though because you can just mine up a whole bunch of rune essence early on. And then you have enough runes to cast all your spells. So we're going to cast the astral projection, which is pretty fun. You can aim it and hit multiple trees at the same time if you want to. You do have to have an appropriate axe for whatever tree you're trying to cut down, so you can't use this on like an oak tree if you don't have the axe to be able to do the oak trees. But as long as you have the proper axe, you're good to go. The next one's going to be, and that one is level 11 by the way. The next one is going to be Splinter, which is going to be at level 27. It's going to instantly chop all of your fallen logs into the wood itself. So when I cast this on the ash log here, it goes boom, and I get a huge XP bump. So casting these spells is going to be the most efficient way for you to get XP in this game too. So if you want to really plow through those woodcutting levels, what you can do is just wait until the cooldown is done for your woodcutting spells and then just cast them again. Even if you don't actually need logs, as you're just running around the game exploring, you can just cast these 2 spells to get really fast woodcutting XP. Mining is up next, and honestly the mining ones are pretty fun. The first one we're going to be doing is the detect ore, which we unlock at level 24. So this one is not the lowest level one, but I'm going to show you what this one does. At level 24 you can activate this one, which is really cool looking. When you activate it, it's going to shoot out these beams that will make these little spirit balls. I don't know what they are, but these beams will pop up from the different ores, which you can see them from pretty much anywhere. You just have to look up in the air and you'll see them. And then now these are lit up so we can easily find these ores. And then once we do this, there is no cooldown in this one, by the way, so you can just keep on spamming that and easily find ores. And if you look at our heads up map, whatever you want to call it, on the top there, you can also see them. Now they are actually displayed on our compass at the top there, so we can actually find where they're at. But then once we're here, we can use our rock explosion, which is unlocked at level 11 mining. And then I click on Rock Explosion. Rock Explosion, you can actually aim it wherever you want to. So what you want to do is kind of aim it in the middle so that it hits the most ores at the same time. But once you cast this one, it's a pretty cool animation. It explodes, gives you tons of mining XP. There we go, and that is 50 mining done. And then now we just got all those ores, and as you can see, since I aimed it properly, it says the node is, well, almost done. And then you just have to pull out your pickaxe to finish this off, because there is a little bit of a cooldown on the Rock Explosion. Artisan spells are next on the list, and these are some pretty awesome spells, honestly. So what we're going to do is, first one is the level 11 Bark to Bones. This one is super good early on because it can kind of be a pain to get some bones. So all I have to do is point at a tree, and then once you point at a tree, you just go ahead and cast it. And then voila, we now have a bit of crafting XP, and we also get a stack of animal bones, which is super useful early on in the game because of the different things that take animal bones, including the repairs. But speaking of repairs, we can actually make repairs pretty simple in this game by simply dropping an item on the ground. And then once we've dropped an item on the ground, we can go ahead and cast our level 27 Artisan spell, the Magical Mending. So Magical Mending will let you cast a huge area on the ground, and then simply cast it. And then, boom, we've now completely repaired our item, which also gives you crafting XP, or Artisan XP. Crafting, you know, a little bit too used to Runescape. And this is a super useful spell because Getting runes is usually significantly easier than if you are to get the supplies for some things, and this makes it so you can just repair all your stuff all at once, and it re-equips right after you use it. My only thing about this though, my only real complaint about this spell is that it would be really, really nice if you were able to cast this spell and just like automatically repair the things that are equipped without having to unequip them. That's about the only big problem. Also, I really wish I could like alchemize this dragon because he gets really annoying. The runecrafting spells are ones you're probably going to get pretty early on just because of how many runes you'll actually need, so you're probably going to unlock these really early on. Now we've got our fire spirit, which is super useful when you're in caves or dark areas at nighttime and stuff like that, where you just cast it and then you have a fire spirit that follows you around. It's definitely a heck of a lot more useful than carrying the torch around, which I definitely enjoy. The next one is going to be a wind step. Now wind step might seem kind of useless when you first get it, but very quickly on you'll realize it's actually pretty useful. It does two different things. Wind step makes it so you can jump really high, which is really nice. So you can do things like this. You can just jump over this gap with ease. Woo! And then access areas that might have been hard to get to before. The other part to wind step, which is super, super nice, and the fact that, number one, there is no cooldown for wind steps, so you can just keep on casting it. Really nice to get away from enemies too, is that you descend really slowly. Now, this will not save you, if you watched my first video, this will not save you from falling off of a cliff, but if you are jumping down from a pretty high area, like let's say the top of that right there, down to the ground, then it'll make sure you don't take any damage when you do that, which is super, super nice. Next up is construction, which probably has the most busted abilities in the entire game right now. Like, they are truly broken. I'm going to show you guys all these in 1 second, but I would like to take this a chance to be able to invite you to our brand new Discord server for DragonWilds. You can find it in the description down below. It is a whole new server. We're going to be posting a bunch of cool stuff about DragonWilds, pretty much everything you need to know about the game in there, and you guys can feel free to chat about the game and join our voice sections in order to be able to talk in your groups and have fun with the game playing with a bunch of other people. Anyway, feel free to join. We'll see you in there. Let's look at construction though. So construction does have some pretty cool ones. At first, one we're going to be looking at is the level 11 Eye of Oculus. So when you cast the Eye of Oculus, it is very similar to the Oculus Eye in RS3. So we're going to be able to just move around the map and everything and be able to like build however we want to, which is super, super cool. And that is basically what that one does. It does make building like pretty intricate things a lot easier. Definitely a lot easier than running around on the ground. The next one is going to be really useful for when you are on a long trip. So let's say you are really far away and you don't have access to a bed and your guy's super tired or whatever. Then you can simply go ahead and summon this shelter, which is pretty sweet. Go ahead and summon it, and then boom, you've got your own tent, no matter where you're at. And then when you click on E, then you sit here and you can rest. Whether it's daytime, nighttime, whatever, you can just rest in there and then get your fatigue back down, which is super cool. And then this right here is the most broken ability in the game to me, and that is going to be the personal chest. So what I would recommend, honestly, is if you saw my previous video about how fast it is to get construction XP, I would honestly personally just go ahead and chop down some trees, get to level 40 in construction. That way you've got access to the summon shelter and the personal chest very, very early. It's going to make your life so much easier. But when you cast the personal chest, it's going to summon a chest, which is a unique chest that is not found anywhere in the game. It is literally just like a cloud chest. And then what you can do is you can just go ahead and store your items in there however you want to, and you can leave them in there or whatever you want to do. So if you're on a long grind and you're out there gathering a bunch of supplies, then you can very easily just use this chest, and then that makes it so you do not have to run back to your main camp quite as often. But then you guys can just bring that full chest of items back here and unload it all at once. It is really, really amazing and makes the game so much easier. It's time for the attack abilities. So the attack abilities are going to be things that you're going to be using a lot, just because of the fact that it makes combat a heck of a lot easier in this game. The first thing is going to be our level 11 Tempest Shield. So level 11 Tempest Shield is going to be a one that you activate, and then it's going to give you a shield that makes it so that when you are blocking, it blocks all of the damage, which is absolutely fantastic. This is super useful if you're not using a shield yourself also, because you will still block all the damage. So it's pretty OP, honestly, if you want to like be lightweight and everything. And then when that shield goes away, it does do like a big burst of damage too, which is definitely useful as well. And then I need to go ahead and bring our next one ability over here, our Enchant Fire. So I want to add that to my bar there, just like that. And then we've got the Enchant Weapon Fire. So what this one does is, this is a level 20 spell, and then when you activate this one, oh goodness, let's not be over here. The next thing though is going to be that fire ability. So you can use this on whatever weapon you want to. It can be on a slow weapon or a fast weapon, but we want to use this on a fast weapon just because if we have a fast weapon equipped, then it's going to make it so we're dishing out much more damage. It adds fire damage to your weapon and also makes it so that when you hit with critical attacks, it will add big burning stacks, so it's really, really useful. The reason why I suggest you do the other one for the slower weapons, so let's say we have this two-handed sword. As you can see with our two-handed sword, normally it's kind of slow and uses up a lot of your stamina pretty quickly. So that is kind of the downside of the slower weapons in general. It doesn't have to be two-handed, but the slower weapons in general. What we can do to make those a lot better, though, is use our level 30 weapon enchant. That's going to be the air ability. So when I activate this, it takes a minute to cast also, so you don't want to do this in the middle of combat. You need to be activating your enchants and your shield and everything before you get into combat, which is the only unfortunate part about them. But once I have this on, you can see it goes quite a bit faster, which means that the overall DPS and the usability of your slower weapons is going to greatly, greatly go up. You can definitely go ahead and use the fire one on this if you want to, but overall, this is a much better strategy is to use the wind on this. That way you can dish out huge, fast hits and do some pretty massive damage. It also increases the speed of your special attacks too, so it's pretty great. You can honestly decimate your opponents with this. Our last current spells released for the game are going to be the cooking spells. So I would say that of everything I've showed you, these are probably the least useful spells that we currently have. But let's go ahead and go through them though. We've got our ability to, we need to drag them over though. And sometimes this bugs, by the way. Sometimes when you open up this window, it won't let you scroll through. So hopefully that fixed that bug soon. You can just tab over and then fix it again though. But you're going to want to go over to cooking. We're going to be adding our cooking abilities in here. And then now we've got them. The internal alchemy is unlocked at level 20. And what that does is if you have any current buffs from food or drinks or whatever, that's going to make it so you reset those buffs. This can kind of be useful if you want to bring less equipment. Like let's say you don't have very many food and drink buffs, then you can make them last a lot longer. It's also going to save some inventory space and stuff like that, being able to extend them rather than using more. But it does have a 200-second cooldown, so keep that in mind. It's just not that great, unfortunately. It's kind of just more useful to just bring the more food and stuff if you have it. The next one is going to be Bones to Peaches. So Bones to Peaches is just okay, once again. And that's because most of the time you don't really need more food, but if you find yourself out on a long excursion and you don't have any food and you do have some bones, which can be easily gathered by using your Bark to Bones spell, then you can cast Bone to Peaches on the bones in the ground like this, and then this will turn it into a bunch of more food for use. So now we have a ton of food to use. There we go, we unlock all these peaches and we get a whole bunch of things, and we still have some animal bones. Doesn't use all of them. It only uses like a couple, I think. But there we go. Now when we look in our inventory, we do have a new stack of 10 peaches, which can be eaten and refill your food meter by a small amount. It's just overall not the most useful thing in the game currently, but if you're really, really far away from your house, I guess it's cool. I think honestly, personally, I think that using the personal storage chest makes more sense than using that spell, but anyway, you do have the option to use it. Well, that's about it, guys. Let me know what your favorite spells are, which spells you'd like to see changed, and what do you think about DragonWilds altogether. And be sure to hit the subscribe. We're coming out with a ton more videos. We're on the road to becoming the #1 content creator for DragonWilds as far as putting out content for you guys to use. So I appreciate your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.